A student pilot and his two daughters are very lucky to be alive today after spending the night on this frozen lake at the toe of this glacier just above Tustamina Lake near Soldotna, Alaska. Here's what we know so far. The aircraft involved in this incident is a Piper PA-12 1956 model. The PA-12 is a three-seat Piper aircraft with a big seat in the back suitable for two people, powered by the Lycoming O235 115-horse engine. This aircraft was not set up on skis at the time of this accident. It appears to have been set up on wheels, larger wheels. The student pilot with his two daughters on board departed the Soldotna airport Sunday evening for a sightseeing tour up here by Tustamina Lake and ended up on a small lake at the toe of this glacier here at the Kenai Fords National Park, a distance of just 31 nautical miles from Soldotna. This is, of course, on the Kenai Peninsula, Anchorage right here, and on Google Earth we can zoom in and see the actual lake that the incident happened on, right at the toe of this glacier, just above Tustamina Lake. The aircraft was reported missing by the father, John Morris, who owns the aircraft, Sunday evening, and he put out a post here on Facebook, and folks began looking for him. And the next day, about 12 hours later, about 10:30 in the morning, the Alaska Army Air National Guard in their C-130s was able to locate everybody alive and well on top of the wing of the PA-12 after the PA-12 had sunk into the ice. And here's the picture shot by the Alaska Army National Guard showing the pilot and two passengers patiently waiting to be picked up on top of the wing of the PA-12. Now the AP is reporting that the FAA is already taking disciplinary action against the pilot, John Morris Jr., and that so far Morris has not cooperated with federal investigators as to what happened on the flight. And the problem is that John Morris Jr. has no application for a pilot's license. He's what I call a professional student pilot. There's a lot of folks out there flying around that don't have their pilot's license. And you'd be surprised how many of them there are, especially up here in the Alaska area. Because you don't need a pilot's license to buy an aircraft, and an aircraft is a way of life up here in Alaska, and a lot of folks simply don't bother to get their license. And of course, without a license, you're not supposed to carry any passengers. And right now they can't tell if the pilot landed on purpose on the icy lake or it was an emergency. And talking to locals familiar with the area, this is kind of a popular place to show up this time of year with your wheeled aircraft. If there's not a lot of snow on the lake, you can land a wheeled aircraft on here normally just fine. But at this time of year, boy, that ice starts getting thinner. And just looking at this ice right here, I'm no glacier pilot, but this looks like some questionable ice, especially with this big gouge running through it right here. It looks like a rough place to land. So we don't know whether this was an intentional sightseeing landing on the frozen lake bed or if there was some sort of an emergency and subsequent emergency landing. Now here's another guy in an unrelated case in Alaska of somebody who doesn't believe he needs to have a pilot's license to fly an airplane. In fact, this guy, I think, was charging people for scenic flights without a pilot's license. 56-year-old William Marson, who operated a Palmer flight scene company named Sound Aviation, says he's a free citizen and not bound by government rules. Now, Bill here finds himself wearing a yellow prison jumpsuit and leg chains because he was offering his services for hire without a pilot's license. Big trouble. Looks like he even went so far as to cover up his registration stickers on his plane with Z stickers. That ain't gonna work. Now, whether you have your pilot's license or not, glacier flying and ice flying or ski flying requires some very special qualifications and skills not found inside the syllabus of a private pilot licensing program. So you need to get specialized training like our friend Carol Zerby here at Northbound Flying Service to get you safely out there on the ice. Thanks so much for watching, especially the folks over on Patreon that make this content possible. See you here.